Alright, I'm back with a video to showcase a unique, whimsical fidget that immediately brought me back to my childhood and my love for arcade games. This is, however, a fidget story with a long and winding drama-filled road. All that and more coming right up. This is the Mole Whacker, which is from Coppertist Woo. They sell a lot of interesting jewelry and other functional items, with their designs primarily being focused on like reptiles and amphibians and other animals. Many of their pieces have some moving parts, and it all looks really exquisite, especially for the price. As soon as I saw the Mole Whacker posted on the Daily Fidget, I knew I had to have it. The distressed brass housing with silver accents was very appealing to me, topped off with this adorably angry copper mole head. It was just too much cuteness for me to ignore. I love this mallet and this big scoreboard plaque, and with its health bar and score on it, that really completes the arcade theme. This is not your typical pen clicker fidget, where you use the same motion to engage and release the click. Instead, you whack the mole on its head to engage, and then press the start button to release. So just like you would imagine a Mole Whacker arcade game, you press start to begin and proceed to whack the mole. What's also neat about this piece is that there are actually two levels of whacking the mole. It will stop halfway with a satisfying click, where his eyes are just glaring at you from above the surface. You can release him from there, or you can continue to whack him all the way into his hole and then release. When everything is working, it truly is a fantastic fidget. I'll try not to make a mountain out of a molehill, but there have been many issues I've had to fix, and it's still not quite right. The moment I opened the box, my very first click caused the mole head to be stuck down in the hole. The start button would not release him, and I had to bang it repeatedly to get his head to come back out. I tried a second click, and it would happen again. It'd get stuck down in there. I could not see inside to understand the issue, so I decided to drop some REM oil down in it, around the head and around the other opening by the start button. Essentially the only two openings that I could see that led down into the inner workings. Then I held the start button and just worked the head up and down repeatedly until it started to feel smooth. After that, it felt great and it was no longer sticking. The next day, clicks started to feel rough again, and there was some definite grinding of metal. I oiled it again, and I just assumed the Mole Whacker would be a high maintenance fidget. I started seeing reports of other people having similar issues, including someone mentioning that they had an early serial number, and that may be why their whacker was having issues. I could not find a serial number on mine, and that's when it was revealed to me how to take this apart. That arcade panel in the back is more than just decorative, it is the panel to begin disassembling. The panel is supposed to be held in place by these magnets, but we'll get into that later. The panel does hold a catch rod in place, right there. To remove the rod, simply tilt it to the side and press the start button, and there it flew out. Press the mole head slightly and that start button will pop out, and then the center shaft can slide right out. I got my polishing cloth and I started polishing everything I could reach to try and alleviate whatever was causing that sticking and grinding problem. I put it back together and all was well. That is, until the next day when I was fidgeting with it and something gruesome happened. I pressed start to release the mole like I normally do, and his head flew off the shaft about 5 feet across the room. I learned that the copper head is actually hollow with a small rod that inserts down into the brass shaft. I took my Gorilla Glue and a clamp and reattached his head like some mad scientist, and 24 hours later, it seemed to make a solid bond. I won't go into how this mechanism works, but if you look at the parts, it's pretty simple to figure out. Also, I believe a similar mechanism has been used on other clickers. Before I put it back together, I noticed inside the brass case where these holes are that are machined for the catch rod to sit in. On the inside there were some burrs, metal burrs sticking out, which was causing the grinding against the shaft and causing it to become sticky. So I just took my Dremel and smoothed that all out, and that seemed to fix it, and it felt like I was well on my way to graduating from Mole Whacker Repair School. I then put it all back together and it was functioning well, at least until the silver mallet on the back decided to fall off in my hand. More glue, more clamping, and 24 hours later, it was fixed. I thought, surely I've taken care of everything that could possibly go wrong, right? Not quite. Apparently from the few times I disassembled the whacker, the magnets are no longer able to keep the arcade panel in place. Now when I release the click, the panel loosens and will just fly off like you just saw, creating a risk of that catch rod flying out and getting lost, and with no rod, there are no more clicks and the start button will fall out. So now I'm at a crossroad. I could glue the plate back on and have no more issues with it falling off, but that means I probably wouldn't be able to disassemble the mole whacker if some other issues pop up. Either way, I've been in contact with Coppertis regarding all these issues and they have been very apologetic. This was a new design for them and they aren't used to making dedicated fidgets. I really do enjoy this mole whacker, problems and all, so if they can figure things out and get one to me that doesn't have issues, I will gladly recommend it to others. The time I had where it was working well was a whole lot of fun and I used the heck out of it, that's for sure. I'll be posting updates to my group, The Daily Fidget, so stay tuned. And in case you haven't joined, I'll leave that link down below. Later.